Hi everyone, it's Elle. Welcome back to my channel. This is another Woman with Autism video where I reflect on my experiences of navigating life as a woman with autism, and it includes looking back on things from my childhood and, in this case, another video of what it was like navigating mainstream school as a woman, as a child with autism. So I've been seeing more things on social media offering advice, especially to teachers, when it comes to helping and supporting pupils with autism. I did not have the support and the care that I should have had when I was at primary school. I went to 2 primary schools. I left the first one in year 3, and reasons for that included how tiny a school it was and just how much they just focused on the things I couldn't do, when my parents were constantly saying to them, focus on her strengths. But even things were not that much better at the second state village primary school. There were so many things that those teachers and TAs should have done differently. What unites both of them is that overall, teachers and TAs should have been much more compassionate, much more patient, and try to look beyond their ignorance to see autism as not bad behaviour or reacting in a way that they felt was out of line. More than once at the first primary school, I was shouted at by my teachers and made to feel like a naughty child. And this was the case at the second primary school. Things that they would do would be to keep me behind at assemblies and even at breaks to do what they wanted, which might have been things on the computers, and I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be left behind and it was another way that I felt othered, and they made me write an essay of why it was bad behaviour and why it should not be done again. They regularly made me feel stupid and humiliated because I really struggled, particularly with maths and my learning. So that was where they should have had much more patience and compassion and gone, Eleanor, it's okay that you are, that it is okay, it is hard and you will get there. They should have been much more nurturing, looked for where I was excelling and focusing on that. And they should have thought much more about the wider classroom environment and where and how their actions in regard to another pupil with autism might have impacted on me. There was a boy in the year above me who had autism, much more prevalent, and teachers and TAs would physically abuse him by manhandling him and physically dragging him out of the classroom. That was probably one of the most traumatic thing about primary school. They did not stop to think about what the impact that would have had on me. For me, that was a form of mental abuse. So they should not have been allowed to do that. They should have treated him with the same compassion and patience, but they did not. So to this day, as far as I know, that behaviour from teachers and TAs at that primary school is still going on. I know there's a few teachers and TAs at that school that are still teaching there. And overall, it's just made me I've looked back, I've had to do years in therapy because of it, and I've had to address what should have been done differently as I've said, teachers and TAs should have been much more compassionate, should have been more patient, there should have been more training and support for the schools, and they should have looked beyond what I couldn't do and helped me feel, and should have done more for my self-esteem, because their behaviour and attitude towards me affected how I saw myself. I saw autism as something to be ashamed of, embarrassed about, and something to mask and do whatever I could to hide, because otherwise there would be consequences. So overall, that is what I think teachers and TAs should have done differently. Oh, another story. There was an Ofsted inspection, and because year sixes were away, the year fives got to sit on the bench, but because there were so many of us, not everyone could fit on the bench, and I got upset that I couldn't sit on the bench with the others. I had to sit on the floor, and because I was crying and not being happy about it, the Ofsted inspector rated them down, and the teachers and TAs blamed me for it. So teachers and TAs, you do not do that. You do not take your frustrations and the things out on pupils with autism. In that moment, what they should have done, they should have been much more compassionate. Again, they should not have blamed me and looked to see where they went wrong and what could have been done in assemblies to make sure that didn't happen. I realise this is probably a bit of a rambly video, but hopefully that raises some awareness, and I hope someone watches this video and goes, yes, this echoes my experience, and what I went through at school was not right and not acceptable. So thank you again for watching this. I am probably going to do another video about what I feel, examples of things I feel teachers and TAs at the secondary school I went to should have done differently, and if there's any other topics about having autism you think I should